How do I start this thing?
Have you plugged the bloody USB in?
Yeah, it's in.
Nah, man, that's the wrong port. Oh, wait, it's flashing now.
It's recording.
Well, let's start this thing, fool.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amelia.
Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to Ask the Duo podcast, a podcast where we get deep into those late-night, unfiltered conversations.
We'll be discussing all things lifestyle, relationship, mindset, and more.
All right, let's get to it.
Yo, we
Hello.
are back.
What's up?
Today, we're gonna get a bit juicy.
What?
Well, kind of juicy, but I really like giving out relationship advice. Like, not, they don't have to listen to me, but I really like helping out people and just hearing about people's relationship problems and being able to help or even give some guidance. And I think you do too, because you give some pretty good advice.
Yeah, man, I love having these conversations because it challenges people in terms of how they think, because there's always going to be...
Challenge or like give people perspectives?
Well, it's both, right? Challenge in a way where you get them to think in an alternative perspective.
Some people may not have clarity or see a bigger picture and see the problem in one direction. Also easy for you to fall into that, especially when you're really in love with someone. You might only see all the good things, or you're stuck on one problem but you don't know why, and it's because you're just so in love with this person, and it happens naturally.
Yeah, look, it's not just in love with that person, but you could be in that zone with that person, right? In all situations, yeah, I really do enjoy talking about this stuff.
Yeah, I have this group on Facebook, and it's just these girls who are looking for advice, and I read through it from time to time. I really enjoy it, and I just enjoy the feedback that people give in the comments too. I picked out a few which I thought were really interesting situations. We'll go through it and we'll discuss our advice for those.
Okay, let's go.
So start off with a little easier one. Well, not easy, obviously it's still a challenging thing, but a shorter situation. So this person lives with someone, like they live together, but they're asking for advice on what's a good way to break up with someone when you live with them, because you've been together for so long. But the thing is, she's realized that they've had a problem for a really, really long time, and they've been trying to stick it out and work through the problems and all that. And I think this might be her last straw. And nothing's really changed, and she's tried to change for him, but vice versa, it's not quite the same story. So obviously, with a respect for the relationship, she's asking for what's a good way to break up with someone when you've pretty much had enough, but you don't want to end it in a bad way.
And I think the key component that you left out is, and I think a lot of people are in a similar situation too, and that could be if you're living with that person, because living with that person can actually make it harder to come to, I wouldn't say a conclusion, but have or make a decision based off that. And it also depends on the time frame that you'd say with that person too. Yeah. So short term or a long term, that could dictate how harder it could be to have that conversation.
I would always say definitely just be straightforward and honest and talk to them, but it sounds like they've already had this chat quite a few times. If it's a problem they've had for a long time, they've tried to change, or she's tried to change and nothing's really happening. So I think she just needs to make a decision, stand her ground and do what's best for her, because she's already tried so much for this person. And yeah, like it really depends on how long they've been together, but regardless of that, she just needs to look out for herself as well. And it definitely will be hard, because you've moved in together and you've been living with this person for quite some time. I can imagine, like quite some time already. So being separated after that, or knowing that you need to separate yourself with this partner, is going to be hard.
Yeah. And I guess from my perspective, very, very similar to what you've just said, though I think the communication component is probably the most important. Sitting down with that person and talking about what the situation is about.
One last chat and be
One
like,
last
you know,
chat,
this
yeah.
is how where it's gotten and how I feel, and if nothing is changing from here onwards, we have to, you know, separate, kind of thing.
Well, it seems like she kind of already has a decision in her mind, but she's probably refraining herself to make that call.
Or like hoping that there's a turning point in there.
Yeah, and when you're in those kind of situations, like I said, sitting down and talking to that particular person to discuss where you're at, your headspace, because if you have made the effort to change and that person's not reciprocating, and this conversation has been had multiple times, that's your answer, right? That person's obviously not going to try. And it's even harder if that person's living with you. Now, sitting down with them for that last time will help provide clarity to that other person too.
Yeah, and I think also, even though, yes, you might be either frustrated or annoyed that nothing's changed, no matter what it is, the way from my point of view, to keep it respectful, don't point fingers, don't say you don't do this, you don't do that, and because of this, I've done this for you. It may seem like you're attacking the other person. Just say, I've tried so much to change in this, and I really just don't think it's working out. And it's not putting a blame on anyone. It's just that the relationship is not where I wanted it to be. And I know that we've moved in together, but I'm genuinely not happy anymore.
Yeah, the choice of words is very important. Like you said, you don't want to attack the other person. You want to put it out as like a broad perspective.
If you've put it that way, and in return either they lashed out or they got angry, that's their choice. Like, you've put everything in a really respectful manner and you're standing up for yourself now. But if they did turn around and get angry and be like, why are you like this, or something like that, then that's also your answer. Like, they're not thinking the same way that you are.
Yeah, and if the partner is on the agreements where they go, okay, sure, this makes sense, then let's split. It's good to set guidelines as to how the split's going to work, i.e., are you going to move out, or is he going to move out, or vice versa, and set a timeline, because it can get quite awkward if you have to stay with each other.
Or it's not clear and they hang around for a while and you're like, okay, so...
Yeah, unless you guys are mutually on the agreements to keep the same living arrangements, then sure. But to have some idea as to what guideline for living conditions, it's good to have that conversation and have that mutual agreement.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice.
Just to finish that one off, just in case the other partner is a bit of a crazy person, it's really good to just let your friends know that this is what the situation is going to go down, and just let them know in advance to before you actually have that conversation. Because look, sometimes these situations may happen where the other partner may be a little bit aggressive.
Or like obsessive,
or
maybe?
obsessive, and it's good just to keep yourself safe. It's good to let someone else know that, hey, this is the situation, this is what's going to go down, so that they are aware of the situation too.
Yeah, good points. The second one, this one's a little intense. So, this couple has been together for 4 years and they've been each other's first. She really loves this guy and has been through thick and thin, ups and downs, and been through many challenges together. And she just really likes this guy and sees herself with this guy forever, potentially. But at the same time, she has this dilemma that if she's going to marry this guy and be with this person for the rest of her life means she only has this guy for the rest of her life. So she has a bit of a higher sex drive and she's curious and wants to explore as well because it's each other's first. So she hasn't been with anyone else. So she's just curious and has temptations and doesn't know what to do because she doesn't want to cheat on this guy, which I respect that. She's being honest with herself. She has temptations, but she doesn't want to cheat. She's also talked to this guy about having an open relationship and tried different ways of managing this relationship, but they haven't come to a conclusion or some sort of solution yet. And yeah, they have discussed moving into the next stage, like getting married. So she's just a bit confused what she should do now. I think I can relate to this chick in terms of, I've only been with you, like you're my one and only serious relationship. And yeah, the curiosity, I think that's going to be there no matter who it is. You've always, especially if you've only been with one person, you'll be like, oh, wonder what it's like to be with either a different person with a different personality, completely different type of person, like all that kind of stuff. You get curious, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't think I've ever had temptations, though. That's the only difference. And, for me, I just see it as if I'm really into this person, like i.e. you, I really love you, and everything that I do, I just love having you around. That rules out all my temptations and curiosity, because I just like being with you and exploring and discovering and learning new things with you. So I think that kind of just pushes all my other curiosities away.
So, okay, from a guy's perspective, the biggest point that I guess she could approach this situation is to have that conversation with your partner, right? Because the main dilemma here is the sex drive and the temptation, the curiosity.
Well, we don't know that. Like, there's not too much detail about it, but we can only assume.
Yeah, I'm making the assumption that that is the situation, okay? It's human to be curious. Especially a male is, we think with our dicks rather than our heads, right? A lot of people say that. It's normal. So, and even females have their wants as well. So it's human to have this kind of drive, this curiosity in life. So I don't blame her to feel that way.
Especially if they're each other's first. I think that makes a big difference too, as opposed to if you've tried to be with someone else.
Yeah, and look, even if you have been with other partners in the past, it's still okay to have, it's human, right?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing with her is to have that communication and talk with her partner about that. I.e., what's the issue here is the drive, right? So what are the things that we could do to help her with that drive? So having that conversation and sitting down with your partner to talk about that stuff will help figure out, what are the other things that you guys could explore when it comes to that sexual side of things in a relationship. That's first and foremost, right? Secondly, don't feel bad about being so curious. That's just, being tempted and stuff like that is natural. And look, if there is other people sort of trying to hit you up, or you see guys out there that are better looking, that's all normal, right? That's all human nature to feel attracted or question, hey, what would it be like if I was seeing this dude?
Yeah, but I think also if guys are hitting you up or talking to you or messaging you, that's also normal. Like, people hit me up in friggin' Instagram all the time and sliding into my DMs and being like, hey, you look cute, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's probably like bots, but same thing. Like, there's going to be people who are going to do that, and those are temptations. Like, I'm not tempted because I'm just like, whatever. But some people may be a little more tempted than other people, which is also normal too.
Yeah, correct. So obviously that's up to your discretion as to how you want to manage that. If people are sliding into DMs, and that is an opportunity to do shit on the side, but that's up to your control as to what direction or route you want to go, right? So the other thing that you said before, you mentioned that you're in a similar situation where was basically your first serious for everything, right? So yeah, you're gonna be curious as to what is out there and that sort of stuff. And the way you manage your curiosity is well, you love me, you've been with me for so long, I'm your rock and that sort of stuff. So it kind of like, wipes itself out, or I don't
know, it just overrules every other thought that I have. Like, the thoughts are thoughts, and thoughts can come and go, and I just let them come, let them go. I don't stick around and wonder or think about
Yeah.
it for too long or
which
anything.
which is a really good thing because other people don't have that ability to do that. So the biggest thing is if you're a person that can't overcome those thoughts like you can, then talking to your current partner about those thoughts and seeing if you can explore those areas with them is a way to sort of overcome that.
Yeah.
Especially if you guys have been together for so long. You guys, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just time frame. You guys have done so much shit together. Surely there is something that you can do to work with it.
Yeah, and someone else in the comments brought up a really good point. Like, it's digging deeper into it. It's getting herself to think, is it really the sex drive thing that's tempting her and making her curious, or is there something more than that, which is like now she might be getting a bit bored or over this relationship and may not be feeling that much in love with this guy as she thought she was. Like, maybe she actually thinks she's in love with him, but deeper down she might be feeling that either the sex life is not the same, which can, like, in some relationships it can affect it if you
100%.
really, like, if that's one of the top things that you really look into. But if it's not that, if it's outside of sex drive, it could be you actually are slowly falling out of love with him, but you haven't realized that yet.
Yeah, and that's the hard part, right? Is defining and understanding what is what, right? But I think the biggest thing is talking to your partner first.
Yeah.
And trying to work with them when it comes to that. Because sex drive is workable. Like, if it's just how often you want to do it or whatever it is, that can be an easy conversation to have.
Yeah.
So the component really here is to have that conversation.
Yeah, and I think, like, just, I don't know how deep that conversation was about the having open relationships and all that, and it didn't work for them, but maybe just try a different kind of conversation and ask different ways of working around this type of relationship.
Yeah, and one thing that one of my friends said to me when it came to, like, sexual drive and that sort of stuff, just be open to try other avenues or things that could be an option, and that's up to your discretion as to how you find that out. But yeah, just be open to give things a go, because hey, that might fix things when it comes to that sort of stuff in your relationship.
But I don't think, like, to me, I don't think sex life should be the one and only thing about the relationship. It's just, you know, if he's a really nice person, he really cares for you, everything else is really good about him, don't have that the make or break.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But everyone's different, so just putting
I
that...
mean, like, only sex
Yeah,
life.
of course.
Like, if sex life's bad and that's the only thing.
Yeah.
That can't be the one and only thing that, yeah, and you're
dictates your relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
For the last one, this one is a girl who's been with their partner, their boyfriend, for a little over a year. So the boyfriend came to her and was just saying he feels like he needs a bit of space. They've never really had arguments before. They've had a really good role in their relationship. Everything's been really good. She knows that she can be a little bit clingy sometimes. Like, clingy can be defined in many different ways, so I don't know how clingy she is. And she's not sure if that drove him away or may have pushed him away. But in a nutshell, he's just not happy with himself, which is good. He's voicing how he feels. He's not happy with himself, and he just feels like if he takes the time for himself to work on himself, that's actually what he really needs. And he feels that he can't look after someone else if he can't even look after himself. So I think that's really true. And the relationship isn't making him happy either. So they had a chat, and the girlfriend did suggest take a break so you can work on yourself. And it's been about a week, and during that week, every single day, he did text at least once just to say, hey, like, I hope you have a good day, or hope you have a wonderful day ahead. And then the last few days he stopped doing that, so now she's just confused and not sure what to think.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and make an assumption because we don't know what his side of the story is, right? Because there could be a lot more entailing behind that. But from, I guess, where he's coming from, he seems like maybe he's figuring it out that she's not the right one for him. and potentially using him not being happy and that sort of stuff as a scapegoat to get out of the relationship.
Yep.
And look, to give him the benefit of the doubt, he could be at a pinnacle point in his life where he's realizing that he's potentially not switched on or mature in the fact that he can have a long-term relationship in this case. So at least one, he's voicing it and he's speaking, right? But two, it's hard to judge where he's sitting because, as she said, weeks after, he's basically stopping the conversation with her.
Yep.
So it's a kind of a 50-50 scenario from my point of view.
Yep.
He could be using it as a way to get out of the relationship because he's just over her, or he could be genuinely realizing that he's not mature enough to have this relationship, but it doesn't explain why he's not having conversations with her still.
Yeah. I think either way, like, yes, if he's voicing everything where he's unhappy and he wants to work for himself, that's really good that he voiced that. But I think either way, now that he's kind of ghosted, he should still be open, be like, hey, can I just have this break as a time for myself? And I don't think I'll be able to reach out to you for the next, I don't know how much time, but just over the next few periods, because I really want to be able to focus on myself. Like, he just needs to say something like that so that she's not left in the unknown.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think if she's actually really wondering, and maybe just check up on him, because if you know that he's unhappy and you still respect him, at least just be like, hey, are you okay? You know, because maybe he really is fallen into depression or something where he just can't speak out or reach out to people. Like, you don't know. Like, and then if you've already messaged, then you've done your part, and all you can really do is just be there for him and be ready if he does come back. But if he doesn't, then that's your answer.
100%. And the way you explain it is it pretty much what it is. And the reason why I say that, I have done this before in the past where...
Like, the guy or the girl?
Yeah, so I was the guy where I said to the girl, I'm not fit for the relationship. So seeing what he's said to her, it makes me go, oh, I've done that. And that's why I said, look, it could be a 50-50 scenario, right?
Yeah, you don't know.
You don't know because we don't know what his side of the story when it comes to her. Because there could be something that she's doing that is pushing him away. We don't know that, right? So as she mentioned, she said that she could be clingy. And maybe that clinginess is kind of scaring him, and it's like...
But in the end, he still needs to be honest, though, and speak out if that's actually what he was intending. But where they were saying that the relationship isn't making him happy, I think if he's just not happy with himself, nothing else outside of his little world is going to make him happy. So that's probably why he's saying the relationship isn't making him happy. So I think it's just good that he's recognized that he needs to work on himself.
Yeah, 100%. I just think, he could have communicated in a way, like you said, to tell her to just leave him alone for like a month or something or whatever. Yeah. And if it's a mutual agreement, they can still be friends. They can still talk to each other.
I think this one might be a little bit harder to stay friends if he truly just needs to work on himself. I think he just needs his time by himself. And then maybe later on, a few months later, they can come back together and catch up. And could lead back to friendship. But I think at the moment, he just really needs time for himself.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, like, there are some people who kind of just stop and write people off because of a situation like this.
Yeah.
So to still have that person as an acquaintance or something, it's still good.
That's what I was saying, like, that chick can just reach out and be like, hey, you okay? Like, just let me know if you ever need a chat. I am still here for you. I think that's the best you could do. Yeah,
man. If he genuinely wasn't happy, I think it's good that he voiced it, but he also needs help. You know what I mean? Like from the right people. So
yeah. Well, yeah, we'll keep this one short. There's only 3, which I thought were really good, and hopefully you like these kind of series. And if you like more, we might do a bit more of these in the future.
Yeah. Let us know what direction you guys would have approached these 3 scenarios, because
They're
is
quite
interesting.
common as well.
Yeah, it is quite common, but it's also, like for me, it's really interesting to hear how others would approach scenarios like this. And look, there's nothing that's right or wrong, because
As long as you're respectful, I think there's no right or wrong.
Yeah, 100%. And let us know in the comments, or then send us a message if there is anything out there that you'd like us to talk about when it comes to these scenarios.
Yeah, or anything that you're asking for a friend for. We'd want to know. Let us know. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much if you have reached to the end. We really appreciate you for tuning in. And if you'd like what you hear, please share it with your friends or family and subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you are listening to.
Make sure you share any topics you'd like us to cover or questions you might have to our Instagram.
Slide it into our DMs.
Bigger. You can also stay in the loop of all the behind the scenes and the release of our new episodes there too. Our Instagram is Ask the Duo Podcast. That's AskTheDuo Podcast. Man, feels like I'm in a spelling bee competition right now. Alright, that's it for now, and we'll see you back here for our next episode. Bye!
See ya!